All right. Well, it is the top of the hour, so let's kick off. And again, kiss. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to wherever you are around the world. I'm Dan McFadden, co-founder and managing director at Edalex, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to Edalexpo 2025. So as we kick off, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet. For me, in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, that's the Boonwurrung people of the East Kulin Nation. And I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And I'd also like to acknowledge any First Nations peoples from around the world who may be joining us today. All right, well, let's dive in. Edalexpo for me is one of my favorite times of the year. Perhaps not quite up there with Halloween or Christmas from a personal perspective, but from a work perspective, it's a fantastic opportunity to get our entire community back together. And we've been fortunate this year that Al and I and Nelson have been able to restart some of the client visits in a number of our domestic clients. Obviously, it's a bit more challenging to do internationally and globally, but it is so important for us to reconnect and share with you what we've been working on and our hopes and aspirations for the future. And every year, for those who are newly joining us, I do like to come up with a theme that encapsulates in a humorous sort of way what we're focusing on. And so you can see quite a few of the ones from previous years and leading up to last year's, which was Acquire, and focused on a number of different systems and technology and people working together in harmony. So then when we think about this year's Edalexpo theme, I want to do something a little different and give you some of a sneak peek into my thoughts and the evolution of this process. And if there's one thing that's being discussed globally every single day this year, it is, of course, AI. But not just AI in general. What we're seeing more and more is agentic AI, so the concept of having AI-powered agents. And so that was the impetus. And so I started looking for an appropriate image that would encapsulate this. I thought this one, cool, sci-tech, but too dark. This one, too violent. We don't need any guns. This one, okay, now we're getting closer. Although I am showing my age with Get Smart, but obviously copyright image here. But one of the aspects that actually intrigued me on this is that with AI, the power of AI, we also have to think about there are different quality AI agents. And obviously, for those who know the Get Smart show, Agent 99 there on the right, she's the brains behind the operations. Whereas Maxwell Smart, perhaps not actually so smart. So that is one of the things that we've been thinking about is not only do we need to empower this next age and really thinking about how do we transform openEQUELLA from a passive digital repository to an active content hub. And certainly we see AI agents and the power of AI is helping to enable that. But of course, we still need to maintain all of the security, all of the digital rights management, all of that technology and security that we've built into the platform over more than 20 years. We need to ensure that is really secure and can stand up even to the not so bright agents that might be out there. So I continued on in my search. I thought, no, that one doesn't really do it. Now this one, well, we're starting to get closer. So, however, for those of you who know Get Smart, that's a total fail on the shoe phone. So yeah, that clearly didn't work. So the one I settled on in the end was this one. And so as an AI agent, she's not quite Agent 99, she's 88. And I'm not sure how her shoe phone would either work as a shoe or a phone. But we thought this concept of AI agents, secret agents, is really a powerful one for us, not only in terms of the work that we're doing, but some of the very exciting things that we'll share with you moving forward. And as I flagged for those who joined early, we do want to keep this interactive discussion. And so, yeah, certainly feel free to to post in the chat if you like the theme of this year. Any other comments? But another way we're keeping it interactive is to have some poll questions. So, Al, could I ask you to put up 2 poll questions for us?
I will. Hopefully that is launched for everybody.
Great. And so yes, the first one is just around how open is your organization to adopting AI? And then what constraints, what might be holding you back? And that is multiple choice. So pick as many and all of those that are relevant.
And whilst people are responding, we have got a couple of chats through. I think the theme is resonating, although I missed it by that much. Hopefully that's not the conclusion at the end of Edalexpo.
Wonderful. And I'll leave you to figure out when we should wrap up the poll.
Yeah, so I'll leave it up for about 15 more seconds. I can see we've got about half of the audience that have responded, so others might be multitasking. Yeah, I'll turn it off in 5 seconds. Excellent. I'll end that poll and share the results.
Great. Okay, so this is wonderful, and for those who have been with us for the long haul, which are quite a few of our clients, you may recall that in 2019 we launched our first AI extension to openEQUELLA, which was ECS AutoTag, and that was a very different world back then with the state of machine learning and capabilities. And I think it's fair to say that 6 years ago, there's a great deal of reluctance and concern around the use of AI, but that's wonderful to see. Yeah, really, no one saying not ready for AI, and almost half bring it on. So that's great. And obviously, then in terms of the considerations, not surprising, security is the highest, but cost up there as well. Yeah, okay, so that's really good insights. Wonderful. Well, thanks for that. Okay, so now let's shift gears a little bit, and I want to introduce Ricardo. So Ricardo is our newest employee as a support and QA officer, and for those who've been part of the Edalex and Equella community for quite some time, it may not surprise you that our average staff tenure is nearly 7 years at Edalex, which is fantastic. So we've been able to hire amazing people and keep them happy and challenged, and so that's great in terms of the depth and expertise. And every once in a while we come across someone for whom it's worth reducing that average tenure so that we can increase the level of support and engagement that we can provide to our customers in the community. So fantastic to have you on the team, Ricardo. And assume you're in. There you are. Okay, if you could just give a wave, Ricardo.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, everyone. And it's a pleasure to me to be part of this amazing company. And yeah, really thank Dan and Alistair to give me the opportunity to work with you guys, and I'm keen to provide the best support that I can provide you, and with my experience from the last companies that I worked. I'm here. I'm really glad to be part of this company, providing, as I said, the best support as I can provide for this amazing company. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ricardo. Okay. So a reminder that we do have our annual user survey. It's a very quick survey. Al, how many questions are in our user survey?
Well, I'll post it to the chat tab and you can find out for yourself. But
All right.
It is a very straightforward survey. I will just add that now.
Wonderful. Great. And as you can see, we've obviously kept the secret agent theme going with this image. And I do particularly like that he has 3 hands. So I'm not sure if one of those hands is coming out of the briefcase or but please do, please do. It's a very, very quick survey, and so we'd really appreciate your feedback. That's always very important for us, and one way that we can continue to engage with you. So today we have an action-packed schedule. I'll get out of the way very quickly. Two more slides left, but just want to very quickly show you the agenda. So we're talking about the release that's just about ready to go out the door, and talk about integrations. We're thrilled to have Mahbub from Macquarie Uni presenting. We have set up a networking period so we can catch up separately, or well on Zoom, but important to get some of that direct connection. Nelson's going to talk about reporting, and then very importantly, we have some really interesting things to show you in terms of openEQUELLA and AI, and then look ahead to the next year. So the final slide, yes, again, feel free to chat throughout and add your institution name or organization name. For your name, you can do that via the participants button. And yes, please do ask questions throughout, but we do ask, if people stay on mute, if not actively asking a question. And then during the networking session, that will create some breakout rooms, and feel free to jump around between those. And we are recording this session for those who aren't able to join us, but in the spirit of Mission Impossible, have to warn you that it may self-destruct. All right. Well, without further ado, I'll turn it over to Al, and let's get rolling.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much, Dan. I love the last self-destruct line. I think it's worth saying one of the poll questions Kath wanted us to put up was whether Dan should be allowed to select the theme for future Edalexpo events. However, as you're about to witness, I think the team have definitely leaned into this theme. So we'll have a bit of fun with that. So terrific. Well, I want to hand over to Kath Fitzgerald, our product manager, and Ian Stevenson, our lead developer. They're going to be talking us through openEQUELLA 25.2.
Thank you, Al. And yes, as good morning, everyone, and good evening for some of you. Yes, as Al said, we have leaned into this theme, perhaps against our better judgment, but anyway, so bear with us. Good morning, agents. For too long, our digital content, our valuable intelligence has been living a life of quiet luxury. But while the public slept, a clandestine operation was underway. Deep within the code, a group of developers, who we can only refer to by their code name, the openEQUELLA dev team, have been working to make our platform not just robust, but thrilling. Some of you may have thought openEQUELLA was just a simple repository, an orderly file cabinet, but I'm here to tell you that with the 2025 release, our system has been issued a full set of new gadgets, a sleek new wardrobe, and a very, very important license. That license is license to thrill. I hope you enjoyed the drama. Okay, so every great mission needs a debrief. Our objective today is to review the 5 high-value targets that have received the most attention in this latest release. So buckle up, we're going in. Let's see what the future of content management looks like when it's operating under a license to thrill. So our first target was IDP user mapping for OIDC. So authenticating new agents must be swift and absolute. This latest feature allows openEQUELLA to precisely map incoming user IDs from a trusted identity provider, even if the external attribute, like a username, differs from the standard identifier. This surgical precision ensures that once the OIDC authorization is presented, the agent's true openEQUELLA account is instantly verified and permission granted for seamless integration. Our second target, Q's new gadgets, is Material UI on the favorites page. So we've upgraded the agent's arsenal by ditching the clunky old briefcase and delivering a state-of-the-art armory. Material UI technology provides the sleek, modern finish, and improved filtering gives you exact results. It's clean, it's organized, and your favorite resources, such as your shoe phone or exploding pen, are always at your fingertips. Our third target is the dashboard and portlets redesign. So in openEQUELLA 25.2, we've deployed the ultimate in field technology, the agent customizable material UI dashboard. You are now the architect with the layout design selector. The portlets are fully under your command. You can move, reorder, and resize them. Put your most critical intel, your secret files, right at the top. This ensures you have a clear line of sight to your daily priorities. Target 4 is one of our regular targets for every release, which is bug fixes. So our developers have successfully neutralized many of those small irritating system quirks. The platform is now running at a maximum control level. And a full list of the bug fixes, which is quite a long one for this release, will be available on release. And finally, target 5, reinforcing the command center. So our usual dependency upgrades. A command center is only as strong as its foundation. So we've undertaken a critical mission to continually reinforce the openEQUELLA infrastructure. This involves updating underlying software components to the latest, most secure versions, removing hidden vulnerabilities, ensuring maximum stability for long-term operations. This means we're ditching the velvet suits of yesterday and introducing the highest grade high-tech gear. So let's do a deeper dive into our 3 main missions, starting with the OIDC user mapping. So by default, openEQUELLA uses the standard unique identifier provided by the identity provider that you're using for user mapping. But in 25.2, we've provided a new user ID attribute setting as part of the OIDC configuration settings, which allows the use of an alternative attribute from the IDP, such as a username, so that you can correctly match the unique IDs of existing user accounts within openEQUELLA. And so it's just a simple field, and I'll just point it out here. But if you want more details, it's quite technical, and you'd probably have an IDP specialist at your organization that would instruct what that attribute would be. But yeah, you can talk to one of our consultants for more information about that, or contact support. The favorites page. So we now have material UI applied to the favorites page with a new fresh design. It matches the other search pages. It's clean and organized with improved filtering. And so some examples here. So just to go back into our memories and have a look at how it looks at the moment. So it's still in the older UI design, and it's hard to search for, using keywords. There's no search showing on the page. And you've got to hit the filter button to open the filtering to be able to filter by keyword or by anything else. So with the new favorites page using the material UI technology, it's now clean. It matches all our other search pages. You can see any tags that have been added when they've been favorited clearly. You have access to the key search area at the top, and over here we have our favorites type, so it defaults to resources, and we have easy access to refine our search with all the different filters. With the favorite searches, so now we can toggle easily between favorite resources and favorite searches, and you can see very easily the search criteria for each one of these saved searches. And if there's more than a couple of search criteria set for each of these searches, you get this drop down arrow, and when you click on it, it gives you a list of the criteria that you have set for the that favorite search. And then moving on to dashboard portlets. So that was the other big project that we did, applying the new UI to an area. And so we now have a new dashboard page, which is using Material UI. And then we've also worked on all the different portlets to display them. Some of them are done in the Material UI, and some of them are done in a legacy portlet. So it's displaying legacy content within those portlets. So we've included greater flexibility in that you can now have a dashboard design. I'll do this shortly. The portlets are easy to move, and you can now close and restore portlets. So let's have a look. So this is an example of the dashboard page now, and we've got like different portlets, but you can see that we have like the two columns at the moment, two equal size columns. The new UI now allows you to select, oh, I've put the wrong one on there. So you can select different size columns. So you can make two columns with a bigger one and a smaller one, and on different sides of the page, as well as like the full page. As you can use the full page as well. So you can see here we now have a dashboard editor with a dashboard layout section. So that's what I was just talking about. You can have bigger columns or different size columns, and also it's very easy to access adding new portlets onto the page as well. So I'm just going to go back out and give you a demo of that. Now, just so you can see how easy it is to move things around. So for starters, you can drag and drop anywhere on the page. So I can easily pop that over there. You can move things around so easily. So yeah, a huge improvement on the very clunky way that you could randomly move things on the old dashboard page. And then you can see the new quick search. It brings up matches. It includes the thumbnails, which is definitely an enhancement. And then we can hit the show all button to go to the search. It'll show the top 5 results, and then it will take us to the search page to show us the rest of the results. And you can see the recent contributions also includes the thumbnails. So in terms of design, we now have this dashboard design editor. So as I mentioned, we can choose different sizes for the columns, which looks fabulous, I think.
And Kath, just while you're showing that, some great feedback on both the favourites page and also the dashboard. A question from Karen: does this mean that we can set a default dashboard layout for all users? Apologies if you're going to answer that already, but yeah, just ask that.
Yep. Well, it's still the same functionality in that you have the like if you go into the dashboard settings, you can still set the same configuration options that you had before. So there's no way to actually lock it in, but you can stop people from closing portlets. Yeah, so basically it's the same options as you had before, but you can stop people from closing portlets. And I from the top of my head, I can't remember what the other options are. But in answer to your question, we haven't changed any of those administration functions. The last thing I was going to mention is this is still in progress. So in terms of the missed it by that much, we did miss Edalexpo by that much for the last piece of functionality, which was that you can or users can close these portlets. and then restore them later. So we do have the option to restore closed portlets, which we didn't quite get in there for this demonstration, but that will be a feature of this new dashboard as well. So I think, unless anyone has any further questions about that, I think that is me.
Yeah, terrific. We've got some claps, which is great. But yeah, any questions for Kath or Ian? Getting awesome comments, which is great. Karen just said, yeah, thanks, Kath. For future releases, it would be great to have the ability to lock a portlet into place. We have 2 portlets we'd love to be able to keep at the top of the dashboard at all times for all users.
Yeah. We will definitely keep that in mind.
Terrific. Any final questions? No, terrific. Well, thanks very much, Kath.
No worries.
Fantastic. And Ian, you got off quite easily with that part. But yeah, if there's obviously any questions for Ian later on, feel free to yeah, join him in the networking room or yeah, stick around at the end of Edalexpo. So yeah, what we're going to do is hand over now to Nelson. Nelson's going to be talking about openEQUELLA and OneDrive and SharePoint. Oh, I think, did someone have a question? I think so. But yeah, Nelson, if you want to share your screen, that would be great. It's worth flagging that when we did visit some of our clients back in, what was it, July, August, September, yeah, better integration with the Microsoft suite was certainly something we heard loud and clear. And so, so yeah, that's why we've tasked Nelson with showcasing some of what is currently possible via the consulting team. Over to you, Nelson.
Yep, thank you, Al. Morning, everyone. I think everyone knows, I mean, almost most of you guys should know me well. I'm still technically in the team, one of the consultants here. So yeah, as Al said, today I'm going to show you how I did consulting halfway, which can integrate Aquila with SharePoint so that you don't need, I mean, which hopefully will reduce your process in pushing content from the SharePoint to OneDrive, from SharePoint or OneDrive to Aquila. Right. So the current problem, as we heard from all of you during the roadshows, a lot of you are creating content on SharePoint, and then in SharePoint, these files could be huge. There can be many files when you try to download it, etc. And then when you want to upload these finished content or finished resources into Aquila, what you need to do is you need to download like maybe a video or a lot of HTML files with the images, or you need to download huge the SCORM packages, etc. So you need to download it, and then you have to upload it to upload it to Aquila during the contribution. So this actually a very manual process, which wastes a lot of time, and then it also have a risk that the process may run too long. There will be human error mistakes. So there are these type of risks when we're contributing our resources to Aquila. So our goal here is to make a simple and error-free way to manage these files contributing, from SharePoint or OneDrive to Aquila. And the solution, the solution we have here is you can select the file directly from SharePoint or actually it is OneDrive. And then the system automatically uploads it. This integration automatically uploads it to Aquila during the contribution. So you don't need to manually download and upload the resources. The key of the solution here is we use the Microsoft OneDrive file picker integration. So you cannot, I mean, given the Microsoft infrastructure, you cannot directly pick a file from SharePoint. That is a limitation. But because in OneDrive, you'll be able to access your SharePoint. So once you have, connect your OneDrive with your SharePoint, then what we can do here is, while this OneDrive file picker, we can use we can configure the contribution wizard to do this integration. So there are two options. Option one is basically the scripts and the contribution actually downloads the files from OneDrive and then uploads it to Aquila immediately. The other option is sending a link, sending the download link to Aquila instead of downloading and uploading it, and then we will handle those downloading in the background. So how does this work? First of all, you need to register an application in your Azure environment. So this is a requirement for accessing the OneDrive while the file picker API. Once you register that, you can add an advanced script control. And then all we need to do is developing some JavaScript using this file picker in the advanced scripting control to do all the rest of stuff, like opening the file picker, handling the download URL from this file picker SDK. And then either download the file or download or set the URL link into the HTML input and send to Aquila to handle it. Just one point to note that the OneDrive file picker SDK actually there is the latest version is version 8. But as I understand, version 8 is not completely work with JavaScript. It is actually a TypeScript integration where, which means you need to develop the TypeScript application and then integrate that library with Aquila with the advanced scripting control. I didn't spend a lot of time investigating that because the 7.2 is much more simpler and straightforward to use. We just need to include the JavaScript library. This SDK's JavaScript library into the advanced script control, and then everything works. So this is something you may be interested to investigate if you're looking at this solution. All right, so I'll just go into the live demo and show you what really happens when we're doing this. Okay, so right here, this is my Aquila. This is my demo Aquila. I'll just sign in using the OpenID Connect, which is much more simpler. Right, so then I'm going to contribute an item. And so you have see here, I have the 25 Edalexpo demonstration here, which is the OneDrive integration proof of concept. So this contribution wizard is very simple. This is an attachment control here. And then down here, actually, in this section, it is the HTML. This is the advanced script control. I'm using HTML and JavaScript to create this button. And then when click on this one, actually, we can select the file. This will actually open the OneDrive integration, the OneDrive file picker integration, and you can select the file here. And then down here, I just have a title and description, which is just make this contribution very simple, right? So instead of clicking these add resources, I'm clicking this add from OneDrive. So this is my login, and then oops, right. Right, so as you can see, once I click the add from OneDrive button, this pop-up will show here, and then I log in with the Microsoft credentials. Then you can see that this is actually my OneDrive. It is from the OneDrive.live.com. So right now I'm going to select the Word document, PDF, right? I'll select them. So once I click the select button, what it's doing in the background right now is the JavaScript in this advanced scripting control will download the files immediately and send them to Aquella. So you can see that these 3 files are added to the file Aquella's staging environment immediately, and you can actually look at the preview, or actually, for example, if you want to, let's say, rename it to PDF to. So everything in Aquella's initial in the Aquella's attachment control, it still works as usual. Okay, so let's give it a title: Edalexpo Demo 2025, and today's date. And I'll skip the description. All right, and then right now I can save this resource and publish it. So and again, as you can see, all these files are stored in Aquella. The metadata is the same. So basically, this actually helps you to reduce the downloading files to your local, manage the files, upload them, etc. But you can select directly. And of course, this is a proof of concept. There are a few things could be enhanced. For example, like after the selector, the picker window is closed, we can actually add some those spinning wheels, etc., to make sure the end users knows that this is something. Something is happening in the background. Also, like selecting a folder instead of files. These are some options. These are some additional options. But yeah, as a proof of concept, this is what I've done in this integration, showing you how this can work. For the other option that I mentioned earlier around sending the direct link to Aquella directly instead of doing the download and upload here. So just give you a quick comparison between the two solutions. Right here, this is more straightforward, but the user need to wait for the download and upload. Because we still need to pull the file from OneDrive and send to Aquella. So the download, there is still a longer download and upload process. But on the other hand, if we're sending the URL to the download URL to Aquella server and let the server to handle that, that will save that will save the contribution time. But on the other hand, there are 2 restrictions you need to keep in mind. First one is the files may not be ready here. Once you save the item immediately, because the server need to handle those background processes. The second issue is the download link returned from the file picker only valid for 1 hour. So that means your end user need to make sure the contribution finish in time. They cannot, let's say, leave it here and go out for lunch or something and then come back. this integration could break. The files may not be downloaded. So this is something you need to be aware of when you're using the SDK.
So Nelson, just a question from Boo. When the document is accessed, does it load from within openEQUELLA locally or coming from OneDrive? If OneDrive, do the users need to authenticate with Microsoft every time they access it?
Okay, that's a good question. Thanks, Mabu. So in this solution, we are actually downloading it from SharePoint and then uploading it to Aquella. So it is always opening from Aquella. I mean, in the file picker, I think it is also possible to just extract the link, extract the SharePoint link, and store in Aquella as a URL attachment. I mean, so that is something that is something we can customize if we are looking into a solution where we want to integrate Aquella with SharePoint by this file picker. But I mean, both options are doable. For the POC I'm doing right now, right here, actually this is for downloading and uploading to Aquella. That means opening the resource, opening that file is actually on Aquella itself. Right. So any other, well, actually, I'll just quickly show another minor thing that when I was doing this integration, I also update. I mean, it was more trick on my demo Aquella, so that you will be able to I mean, see if this works for you as well, right? So for opening this document, actually right now, if I click on it. So when we're clicking on this link, actually we're previewing the document in the Office apps.live.com. So which is the Microsoft official online document viewer, right? So this is also something very simple and straightforward thing in Aquella. Okay, so this is again something I would like to quickly go through. I mean, in addition to the OneDrive integration, because this is kind of Microsoft Office document related integration that we can do quickly. So the problem is usually from you guys. We heard that Office documents by default Aquella will send a file to the browser and let the browser to handle it. And by default, the browser saves the files locally. So that is why when you click on Aquella's, in Aquella, when you click on the let's say .docx files, it always saves instead of preview instead of opening it in the browser immediately. Right, so the solution is actually Aquella supports previewing document not purely in Aquella itself, but via some integration. So this is a my type setting that is specified. That specifies how Aquella handles a specific type of document. And openEQUELLA use Google Docs as the default viewer. So if you go to my type, search for docx, and then edit the my type, actually you will see there is a view in Google Docs option there. So if you have enabled that and set that to default, when you click on it, your document will be previewed in Google Docs, right? So with a quick tweak, you can use the language pack to override this viewer URL. So this viewer URL is actually specified in the language pack itself. If you want to have similar integration that I've just showed you, opening the files in the Microsoft Office apps viewer, just update your language pack, find the URL, and then replace with the Office app view.officeapps.live.com, and then replace the you replace the language pack in your environment, and the integration is done. So this is much more straightforward and easier than the SharePoint OneDrive integration. But yeah, this is more trick that I can definitely quickly share with everyone. So yeah, I hope this will help you if you really want to preview your documents. All right. So before going to the Q&A session, I would like to send my thanks to the Swinburne common teams. So this OneDrive integration is actually one of the idea, and they have actually showed. They have a demo video show in our Edalexpo 2 years back in 2023, and they have given thanks for them, assisting in my demo and allowing me to reference to the implementation and things like that. So yep, thank you. Right.
Terrific.
So
Thanks.
Q&A.
Thanks, Nelson. Yeah, lots of claps and loves and all the other good emojis. So a question from Kimberly at TAFE Queensland. Can this also be used to replace existing attachments in a record when creating a new version of a record with regards to the OneDrive integration?
Replace existing attachment. Unfortunately, no, because so in the Equella, okay, quickly show you that. So the replace button here always refer to, the original Equella's upload files or selecting from drag and drop. So in this integration, we cannot override this Equella's default functionality. So that is why I'm adding a button here. But on the other hand, I can't add a button here, right? So and that's why, as you can see, I can't put my button right next to the resources or right here, right? So that's kind of trick or problem. Yeah, but if you don't need to keep the attachment UUID, most probably you can delete it and then select from the OneDrive again. But but in case if you need to keep the attachment UUID because let's say you have linked to somewhere else, unfortunately that is that is something I can try to investigate. But at least in this proof of concept or in the initial idea, I think it may not work.
Okay. Thanks, Nelson. Marilyn, I assume if the original file in OneDrive changes, these changes won't automatically be sent to openEQUELLA, and I'm assuming that's depending on the upload-download pathway or the URL pathway. Is that correct, Nelson?
No. All right. So, if you, no matter whether you are downloading the files and upload to Equella, or if you are letting Equella to process in the backend, in both cases, we are actually downloading the files from OneDrive. So if you're building the integration like this, then it will not update. Equella will never update even if your OneDrive files is changed. The only option, if you want the files or the links to be changed together, most probably you need to extract the link and save. Still open the file picker, let the file picker to select the file, but you extract the OneDrive link or the SharePoint link from the response in the file picker API, and then store that link as a URL attachment in Equella. So that means we are actually selecting a URL from the file picker and then store it in Equella. Then when you click on it, it always points you back to your SharePoint location.
Terrific. Sam Parker, this is really interesting. I wonder whether the same principle could be used for video types too. I'm assuming, Sam, you're meaning the preview, the Word Office preview.
Yeah. So the video, let's say the video player for say MP4, could you change the player based on the same principle?
No, unfortunately, right? So, okay, so you in the my type, actually, all right. Again, I can quickly show you in my environment. So if you go to settings, general, my types. So if we are searching for video, you can select this one. But then this, I mean, this office, this document viewer, kind of document viewer, is shared. I mean, it has to be the same across all the my types. So we cannot specify this my type to have this viewer, and then another my type to have another viewer. So if let's say you make this into a MP4 viewer, that is okay. That works. But then you cannot enable Office app viewer, let's say for the document, for the docx type, because they share the same viewer link.
So
Does it
could
make
you
sense?
not have multiple implementations though? So in other words, you create multiple options within this page for every MIME type, and then you select the correct one for each MIME type.
All right. So that is, we can do that via development path, but not the consulting path, I would say. Because this is a limitation within the existing functionality. So as a consultant customizing the Aquella environment, I cannot create a new viewer type here. What I can do is I can only customize where this document viewer is located in the external. I mean, it's an external viewer URL.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, great.
Perfect. Matthew at Flinders mentioned maybe classify the file submissions into zones, local, preview, and remote, depending on where they are stored or viewed. So probably more comment, or is that a question, Matthew? Just a comment. Terrific. No, appreciate that. So yeah, and Sam, this might answer your other question. So based on the proof of concept that Nelson's done, if anyone is interested in doing that for your institution, again, recognizing that, as Nelson said, other options may be possible. You know, what Nelson's demonstrated in terms of the download upload is about 1 day's worth of consulting effort to implement for you. So yeah, just let us know. As I flagged, this is very clearly a piece of feedback when we did the roadshow. So yeah, we just wanted to demonstrate what we can do with the Microsoft Suite. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more, reach out to me. I will also just launch a quick poll question as well, just around. Oh, I've used the wrong poll. Hang on, that one's for later on. Oh, that might have ruined that. Just in terms of what other storage systems would you like us to explore from a consulting perspective? Again, this is something Nelson's been working on, but you know, maybe you're interested in a different third-party integration. You know, as Nelson's flagged, there are some limitations from a consulting versus dev perspective. But yeah, if there are others that you're interested in exploring, feel free to add a comment in there. I'll leave that open for probably 15 more seconds. We've got a few responses coming in. Terrific. I might close that in 5 seconds. I'll end the poll now. Terrific. And for some reason, Zoom won't let me share the results. Maybe there. Yeah, not visible to me. Kath, is there anything showing on your screen there?
No, it just says, oh, it tells me I didn't answer the question.
No dramas. Well, that didn't work very well, that particular poll. So I'll learn that for next year, not to use the short answer poll option within Zoom. But terrific. Well, thank you, Nelson. Yeah, certainly, again, similar to Kath and Ian, feel free to stick around in the networking at the end of the event just to ask any questions of that particular solution. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Mahbub Hassan at Macquarie Uni, who's going to be talking about openEQUELLA and H5P.
Hey, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mahbub. I'm from Macquarie Uni. What I wanted to share is the recent development we did with Edalex consultancy for our users. One requirement regarding H5P, and I just want to show what we have achieved so far. Just a moment, I will try to share my screen. Okay. Okay, can everyone see my slides? Oh, sorry. Okay. Just 1 second. I will have to. Yeah, how do I go to the? Why it doesn't give me going to slideshow? Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, can everyone see my slides? Yes, okay.
Yeah, we can see them.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it short. Yeah, so H5P, I'm just touching on H5P in case if anyone is still not 100% sure what H5P files are. The H5P stands for HTML5 package. Basically, it's a standard package. Yep, a package, a standard rather for educational interactive content. And up until now, Equella didn't really natively support H5P files. So file could be uploaded as files and can be stored, of course, but there was no native player to play it, let's say, if I can call it player. And there was some way around that we could use is converting the H5P files to SCORM package files and then use it, but then it still doesn't serve the purpose that the H5P packages, which are standard interactive contents nowadays, are not natively playable in Equella. So I reached out to Edalex if we can use some of our consultancy allocations on this. And yeah, Nelson, both Nelson actually, Nelson P and Nelson C, PNC. So they actually assisted with this proof. Again, it's a proof of concept. It turned out to be successful. And yeah, we just recently launched this for our users. And I just want to show a sneak peek of that. What we did, by the way, I wanted to, initially I thought I would demonstrate, but then I thought that it might just waste some time because H5P packages, what we discovered, can take a bit of time when they get extracted and converted. So I would just use the screenshots in this case, so to keep it faster. Okay, so what we did is we had to define a separate file format for within Equella for H5P type content. And so in our generic learning and teaching collection, we have say, as you can see from the screenshot, that we had audio, video, web, etc., and even zip package type attachments previously, and we added a new one for H5P, even though it belongs to the zip package category, but we just had to keep it separate because it just came with its own way of processing. So we just added a file picker for that, and what what happens at the background is when this is the implementation that has been done, that when the file gets uploaded, the package gets extracted internally and then gets processed, and it converts into a playable format. And yeah, we decided to name it as H5P content. So basically what you can see is the item summary page. And if you see the link to resources, the original H5P package was called that time estimate.h5p. Once it gets uploaded, Equella takes the time to to process it and creates a natively playable package. And yeah, we decided to name it as H5P content, so it remains consistent to users that this is H5P, and users will be actually embedding or linking to this H5P content link for their LMS or wherever they want to use it. And this is an example that has been uploaded. And if you click on that H5P content link, this is how on browser it appears. As you can see, it's an interactive quiz, or it can be a game even, or however people build it. And one thing I wanted to point out is that the URL is normally we have item URL and then / attachment name, because we converted the file name to H5P content, and that actually is a h5p.html file that has been generated by openEQUELLA. So the URL becomes standard length, as you can see here. How it was done, what has been done is a new MIME type has been added for H5P, as you can see. For this type of content, the additional MIME type that has been incorporated in Equella, which didn't exist, I think, before, is H5P type. One thing to consider is so far we can only handle one H5P package at a time. So that means for the collection contribution, we have to restrict users not to be able to upload more than one H5P at a time. And that's also, for that requirement, we couldn't just use the package content type format that we already had, because that people might just pick more than one file here, or an H5P plus an additional document. That wouldn't work. So we had to keep it separate file format, and this MIME type would only allow H5P and only one attachment for this one item. So that's the limitation we are handling with right now. But I think that's also, yeah, for now, that's serving our purpose. People just wanted H5P. So if they need more, I would just say, then contribute a new item. So keep them separate for better management. And yeah, there was a bit of coding involved. So in the collection expert scripting area, there was a lines of codes there that Nelson, both Nelson again, PNC Nelson's written, and it's like 150 lines of additional safe script code that's there in the collection expert script area to process the file and to generate that h5p.html package. And yeah, a bit of scripted section in the display template to display the content on browser. And yeah, I think that's about it. I just wanted to give a sneak peek. I and Wei Dong at our end, we did testing and came up with suggestions where we can make some improvement or change. Another thing that was done, which we didn't enable, is also natively previewing the content output within the summary page. It was implemented, but just to keep our other items in our Equella environment, we don't have any like summary page preview incorporated for other content like videos or audios. That's a multimedia content. So we didn't want to just use that for H5P. It just creates the look inconsistent with other items. So we might enable it at some point if we can enable similar sort of thing for any other items maybe, but that was also developed by Nelson. So yeah, that's probably it from me. If anyone is interested, or if you need similar sort of implementation for your environment, you can just get in touch with Nelson. Perez Nelson they can also tell you what sort of coding they use and how complex was it. But at least from our side, we laid out the requirement and we work together to suggest any changes, and this is where we have been up to. Yeah, that's it for me.
Terrific, Mahbub. Yeah, there's a few questions and I'll ask them, but if it helps and in true spirit of the theme, it's Perez, Nelson Perez. Get the James Bond reference, everybody, but anyway. So yeah, Brendan, does it launch within openEQUELLA? I think that was, yeah, Mahbub showed that in the end, how that launched. Does it track submissions, Mahbub?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have so far using it just for use cases where we don't need to see who did it, and they say, for example, if it was a quiz, who did participate in the quiz and who failed, who passed. We haven't implemented those. Our use case for this is not to cover those scenarios, because our LMS already, Moodle already has a H5P support with grading options. This use case was to keep another use case for H5P where they don't necessarily are using a course in Moodle to deliver it. For example, in our one of our use case is the library delivering training materials that people have to just do it if they want to learn how to use library catalog, something like that. So for now, we are not tracking it, but I think it's with the eQuella's reporting, we can implement who interacted with it and who hasn't interacted with it, or how many people interacted with it, that sort of stats. But as we are not considering any grading option, because these H5P packages are not storing grades. So this is only for as you wish training materials type of use case, or just giving new students some vocabulary to start their uni life, or something like that. Any foundational material that doesn't track pass or fail.
Terrific. Thanks, Mahbub. Amy, I saw you had your hand up. I'll read your question, but if you did want to come off mute to ask or extend on that question, feel free. Amy asked, can it be embedded like regular H5P into the LMS? Moodle, for example, has an H5P bank that allows H5P to be added to a text base. I know you mentioned Moodle briefly, Mahbub, but yeah, do you want to respond to that? And again, Amy, if you want to come off mute to extend that question, feel free.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering what the purpose of it is when Moodle has H5P already embedded. I thought maybe you didn't use Moodle, but then you just said that you do. So you're using it mainly for the course for
yeah. This is we are using it for cases where people are not for a staff who wants to do something that we build something for staff or students, not necessarily who would have to go to Moodle, for example, because we can do it for professional staff who not necessarily have access to the Moodle platform, but we can still host a training course for occupational safety, for example. As I mentioned, libraries, how to use libraries system, that sort of training packages can be there, and interactive video based or interactive quiz based, that sort of thing.
But does it have the capability to embed back into Moodle?
Yeah, H5P is it's a standardized package. You can
No, but I mean from Aquella. So if you were to go and find it in Aquella, would it embed into a text editor?
Maybe I can chime in here,
Yeah.
Amy and
Awesome.
Mabu, right? So H5, basically those H5 packages. I mean, in the back end, when Press is developing this script and we have been discussing it on how to implement that. So what it actually does is right now we are uploading the package in Aquella, create an HTML that will embed the player to play that package, right? So this scenario is just similar to the SCORM packages.
Yeah.
What we can do is in your Moodle, if you are, let's say, embedding Aquella's, I mean the h5p.html URL into your Moodle, and iframe the HTML in your Moodle's, let's say, course or page. Actually, the h5p content will be played in your Moodle environment as well, because it is just embedding the player from Aquella, right? But if you're talking about directly pulling the h5p package into an import into your Moodle's h5p bank, that is something else. That is not we can do it. Something we can do it.
Embedding it more than anything. Okay, that's good to know.
Terrific. Megan, I see you've got your hand up. You want to ask a question?
I noticed that you're adding a link from the item record to the HTML file that's obviously stored somewhere. Why are you not actually attaching the new HTML converted file so that that can be then downloaded and used as a separate file as HTML and not necessarily be dependent on H5P?
Nelson, again, this is to you.
All right. So Megan, H5P is somehow similar to SCORM package. So when we're talking about we are doing some transformation and generating the HTML, we are not really, I mean, modifying those upload packages. We are just extracting and unzipping those packages, and then generate a player HTML page, which is a player that opens the HTML, the H5P packages. Again, similar to SCORM and SCORM's environment, you upload the SCORM player to you upload the SCORM package to Aquella. Aquella unzips it, extracts it, and then in the Aquella link there is actually pointing to the player that will load the content from the package itself, right? So basically, the link or the H5P HTML that we generated is not the player itself. It is just a page that loads the player and tell the player to load the package. So that is why, Megan, it is, I mean, what you mentioned there is actually not how things work in background, and that's why we cannot do it in that way.
Okay. Terrific. Well, thanks, Nelson. Just in interest of time, I'll just quickly read through some of the other comments. So Sam Parker flagged an interesting extension to explore would be just the storage of the TinCan XAPI interactions with this content. There are 2 levels that he's aware of. Trev mentioned if it's not capturing responses, an OHS course wouldn't be a good use case, but valuable for things like rich ebooks. And Sam also added XSLT code would allow for the creation of the embed code on the fly for use on a say a library site. So yeah, good comments there. So yeah, thanks again, Mabu, for demonstrating that. Certainly generated a lot of chat and commentary. So yeah, certainly encourage. What I'm going to do is set up some breakout rooms for the next 10 minutes. if you do need to stretch your legs, feel free to do that, but I'd also encourage you to join those rooms to do a little bit of networking. Just whilst we do that, I did find the survey results regarding the other storage tools. So I've just posted that into the chat just in case people are interested. But with that being said, I will set up some breakout rooms. And yeah, encourage you to jump in. Otherwise, yeah, I'll give you a warning when we regather back in the main room. But yeah, hopefully that was worthwhile networking. We also encourage people to stick around at the close of Edalexpo if you'd like to continue those chats that maybe got cut off short. But yeah, terrific. Well, the other thing as part of our roadshow that we heard loud and clear was some confusion around reporting in Aquella. We know reporting is certainly complex, but what became clear was the fact that some of our clients weren't aware of how information in Aquella can feed up into other reporting platforms that you might be using at your institution, such as Power BI. And or weren't aware for those that are hosted clients of the reporting database that gives a little bit of extra flexibility in the area of reporting. So what we thought we'd do is ask Nelson to talk a little bit more about reporting in openEQUELLA, and hopefully that will help shed a little bit more light in terms of the capabilities of reporting outside of the Aquella platform. So Nelson, if you'd like to share your screen. I'll hand over to you.
Okay, thanks, Al. All right, so in this session, I'm not going to do a demo or something, but it is more, something that helps remind or give everyone some ideas what they can do with reporting. All right, so Aquella is a repository, and I think most of us already know that it is not designed for reporting. So it is honestly, as a consultant, as part of the team, I think we are not doing reporting well as well. But again, because there's not Aquella's main functionality. On the other hand, the data stored in Aquella is valuable because we have the item metadata. We have all the metadata of all the resources we have there. We have the system access log. Let's say who has logged into Aquella, who hasn't, how many people are using Aquella, etc. And then we also have the content log, which, for example, like how many views are there, how many downloads are there. I mean, all those type of logs, as well as some other logs. Let's say who has purged the item. I mean, one of the items is just lost. Who have purged it? We do have all these different type of data or information within Aquella's database. So in our roadshow, clients feedback that we would like to know how Aquella can work with the BI tools so that they can understand, or they can understand usage or dig into the data they have and try to get something valuable from it. Right, so there are, in order to connect to the Aquella and making query to Aquella, there are two main approaches. The first approach is to use what we call the Aquella connector that is provided in the BERT reporting tool. So we provide a reporting tool that is based on BERT, and we have customized connector. Why this connector? You can communicate with the database. Via openEQUELLA. So that means you don't need direct database access to. You don't. Let's say if I am a user, you don't really want me to connect to the database directly in most cases, especially like right now we have work from home and a lot of these. This remote type remote working environment actually will have a lot of issues if we need direct database access. Mainly of the security reasons. So the good thing for Aquella connector is we're not directly connecting to database, And then also we also provide some additional tools for easier metadata and user data extractions via this connector. So if you are using this connector, in the connector option, you can actually go and select whether you want to query an item, you want to query a user, or you just want to extract metadata. So you have different options that make things easier. Just imagine you need to write SQL statements or something to extract the XML from the metadata that's stored in Aquella. That is actually, not an easy one. But on the other hand, using the Aquella connector, you can potentially use up your Aquella's database connection. So basically Aquella has two data sources you can define. One is for reporting, one is for Aquella's core functions. But when the reporting, if you did not define reporting JDBC connections, or when it is used up, the BERT reporting tools connector here, Aquella connector here, will try to use Aquella's database connection. And if your report is not well designed, or you didn't take this connection into your consideration when you're creating the reports, you may use up Aquella's database connection, and then Aquella will just throw exception, cannot acquire the connections for what the core functionality needs, and Aquella will just hang. So that's the first problem with the first drawback with the Aquella connector. And then it can impact Aquella's performance because it used Aquella's server's resources. Let's say if a very simple example, data joins. So joining data from multiple tables, it is much slower and it's much more resource expensive to make those queries via the Aquella connector, because Aquella connector will get all the results from different tables and then try to match those stuff together. All right, so alternatively, you can use a normal JDBC connection. So that means you can use it via the BERT reporting tools, or you can use just simply via your BI tools. So the advantage of that is definitely faster query. As I mentioned earlier, the Aquella connector use the system resource to do those database queries and joins. But with the JDBC connector, we are actually tapping into the database directly, which means we write queries and database is optimized for those operations like searching tables, joining tables, grabbing data, etc. And then the other good thing is, of course, it can run outside Aquella, because your BI tool can also make a JDBC connection to your Aquella database. But the cons here is it requires direct database access. So, for example, if you are working remotely or something, maybe you need a VPN to get back into your local network environment before you can connect, etc. The accessibility will be an issue here. And then Aquella schema is complex. So as I said, extracting with the Aquella's connector, because it provides tools like you can just mention which item and which metadata path, then the tool within the Aquella connector will just extract those data for you, right? But if you're working with the JDBC connections directly, you need to write SQL statements to join multiple tables and then extract XML stuff. And Aquila schema is not normalized, and so it's just more complex to write this code statements. So again, it may impact the database performance when you're running your reports through your BI tools, because I mean it just uses database resources. Right. So here is how we are handling. We're trying to handle this in our hosting environment, trying to reduce the risk of. So right here, what we want to do is we want to reduce the direct access to Aquila's database, and then we want to prevent the reportings to affect Aquila's performance. So what we are doing here is we have an internal ETL process, so which means ETL means extract transformation load. So in short, basically this process will extract all the data from the Aquila's production database, and then we are transforming it into a more simpler database schema, which is easier to understand in a normalized format. So when your database administrator or the developers of BI or the BI tools developer look into the Aquila's, look into this database, it will be much more easier for them to know what to do or how to extract the data from this from here. And then the tool run every night so that we can minimize the impact on the database performance for the Aquila's normal operation. And we store the transformed database structure into a separate database, which we call the reporting database. So in our hosting environment, we whitelist the clients' IP addresses so that they can access the reporting database directly. So in our hosting environment, none of our hosting clients can actually access Aquila's database directly. We just forbid that because of security reason, right? So, but in this reporting database, we are setting it up in our VM zone, and we just whitelist a few IP address from the client so that they can connect to the database directly. And then when they connect to when the clients connect to this reporting database, they can use even if they're using the bird reporting tools to develop Aquila reports, they can actually connect to this reporting database so that it will not affect the Aquila's core functionality. Or they can create reports, let's say with the BI tool, and connect to the reporting database directly. That is another option. But again, the limitation is only those whitelisted IP address can connect, even no matter whether you're using BI tools or other environments. And lastly, the clients may actually just set up another process that pulls data from the reporting database back to the data warehouse, let's say every night, so that they have all already centralized in their own data warehouse for any BI reporting purposes. Right. So I hope this will also give you, even if you are self-hosted, this will give you an insight how you can separate the Aquila's, how you can generate reports from Aquila, extracting data from Aquila while not impacting your production environment.
Terrific, Nelson. Just actually a quick. I'll let you finish, then I'll ask you the question.
Okay. Yeah. So looking ahead, what we are looking ahead for report is we are throwing some ideas around like query with AI or MCP tools that may connect to Aquila and extract things, and we can just ask AI to to do the data analysis for us. Yeah, these are different options that we are looking ahead to see what we can do with in terms of reporting. Right?
Terrific.
So that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Nelson. As I mentioned, yeah, we just thought that was important so people have a little bit more of understanding. I know there's a few comments in the chat. I think in interest of time and knowing some people might need to leave on the hour, you know, feel free to stick around, or Nelson, if you can answer the questions in the chat via the chat, that would be very valuable. So what we're going to do now is hand over to Ian. Nelson just teased a little bit of Ian's session in mentioning MCPs. So yeah, in the spirit of this year's theme, Ian has absolutely embraced that as he looks to talk about openEQUELLA and AI. So over to you, Ian.
Not a problem. I will just share my screen. All right, just minor issue here with Zoom. So, all right. Can people see the presentation there? Or are they seeing a black screen?
Not just yet, saying has started screen sharing.
Okay.
I think you just have to warm up the flux capacitor.
There it is.
There we go.
There we
We
go.
can see your PowerPoint now, Ian.
All right. Okay, we'll see how this goes. It may not like my operating system, it seems, but we'll see what happens. All righty. Well, good morning and good evening for those far away. So I'm going to do a bit of a chat around openEQUELLA and AI and looking at how we can leverage openEQUELLA with your AI enterprise platforms. And that's mostly looking at some of the technologies such as MCPs and connectors, and sort of taking that a bit further with a few other things. For those who don't know, I'm Ian Stevenson. I'm the lead developer for openEQUELLA. You might have seen me on a few of these before. So, looking at unlocking openEQUELLA content so it can be used in AI. So first, we go down the typical path of why do this? And the main thing we see with discussions around AI is it's the opportunity to boost productivity. So we're boosting productivity by enabling your openEQUELLA content, your assets, your course content, whatever information you're storing in your openEQUELLA, accessible by AI for exploration. So whether that's summarization, generation, or even management of openEQUELLA, these are the kind of things we can look towards by integrating with AI. The most simple case when we're talking about AI is to have your modules have context that allows them to provide you better responses, ultimately. Now, if you want context that's based in your openEQUELLA, then you need some way to get that easily from openEQUELLA or from any of your other enterprise systems into the language model that your AI platform is using. And by doing those two things, those integration points of sort of summarization or generation or augmentation, and building out context, that allows you to build workflows which are smarter. And not specifically the openEQUELLA workflows, although that's something to consider, but just your day-to-day workflows in the management of your openEQUELLA content. The ways we go about that depends on whether we're focusing on content or some of that live interaction. And so when we are looking at content and context into your language model, there are a few patterns which are emerging. But one of the mentions you'll see is this idea of connectors. And one you'll see often in the Microsoft content, in the case of Microsoft Copilot, is Microsoft Copilot connectors or Office 365 connectors. And you also see the term connectors used with ChatGPT as well. And so these ideas where you are basically extracting content from your enterprise system. So in our case, openEQUELLA, transforming that into a format that is useful, and then placing it into a storage place that the language model can pull context from. So in the case of Microsoft Copilot, that's basically pulling that content out, loading it into Microsoft Graph, which is sort of the Microsoft enterprise database that they build their search tools on, but also which Copilot can connect to. And so you're extracting, say, your openEQUELLA resources, maybe attachments, and putting some form of representation of them into Microsoft Graph, and still putting some kind of metadata markers on there so you can still do your normal access controls and maintain the security you expect. The other way that it can be done is looking at live interaction. And that's where we look at what's emerging as sort of the de facto standard for integration with AI between enterprise systems, and that's MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol. And so I'll talk about that a little bit more because that's where ultimately I'm going to go towards a demo at the end. So looking at MCP, it is an open standard and it came from Anthropic, so the company behind Claude AI, and it's been picked up and used very quickly across pretty well all the AI platforms. And even Copilot does have support for it, although they're still currently leaning towards their graph, but they are starting to move towards it. But one way to think about MCP is that it's similar to LTI. LTI being that learning tools interoperability. You can sort of think about MCP being enterprise system interoperability, but with AI platforms. But it can do more than just provide context. It can also provide automation. So the idea is that MCP provides sort of three main things. They provide sort of pre-canned prompts that you can send to your AI language model. They provide access to resources. If you think about sort of items and their attachments, they would be resources that can be pulled in more so for context. And then the real powerhouse and the main thing that most of the integrations are making use of are tools. So tools can be pretty well anything. They could be search my system and find things, or they could be create me some content, or in the case of openEQUELLA, you could envisage having a tool long-term around the idea of, say, creating a new collection or managing your contribution wizards, or even looking at your users, groups, and roles. So tools are sort of very powerful in that respect. So as I said, I will do a demo to show this in case. This is a sort of very early sort of proof of concept looking at the integration of MCP with openEQUELLA through Gemini's CLI, which is a command line interface, sort of chat interface provided by Google for their Gemini model. Initially, I've only got basic tools in there. I'm just looking at content discovery, really. So I have a tool for searching. I have a tool for retrieving the metadata of items. And I also have one other tool, which is around being able to explore the collections in openEQUELLA. But just looking at where more tools could be added into the future, because they are fairly straightforward to add into an MCP server, which is where you host them. The key bit for providing integration of enterprise systems with your AI platforms comes down to the availability of APIs ultimately. So openEQUELLA, as we already know, has a pretty good story when it comes to APIs. We have our legacy API, which is our SOAP API. We have our REST API, which is probably the main way most new things are integrated with openEQUELLA, and including the new UI actually uses the REST API. And as we'll discuss later, we're also starting to build out another API, which is our GraphQL API. So by having a good story of APIs, that allows you to do integration in whichever way you need, especially in the rapidly changing environment of AI and how it's done. But in the case of this MCP server, I have an MCP server that is using the openEQUELLA REST API to then be able to do whatever we want. And the MCP server exposes the API in plain language. So as we know, when we're using AI, it's all about trying to use natural language to interact. So the MCP server tells the language model, these are the tools, and it tells it in very plain language and tries to be as explicit as possible, so that then the MCP agent is aware of what tools are there and can provide the textual description of those tools back to the language model. And the language model can come back and tell the agent, okay, I think I need to use this tool. Can you now call into that tool for me and show me the results? And the results also need to come back in a nice, clear structure so that, again, the language model can process it and make decisions. So we will go and have a look at that. I'll just come out of that. And in theory, people can now see a Gemini terminal kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so screen sharing has kept working. All right. So this is the Gemini CLI. So this will be a live demo with AI. So everything and anything can go wrong here. So we'll see what happens. I'm also beholden to the speed of AI. So I have changed the model I'm using here to the so-called Flash one to try and speed it up, but we'll see how well that actually comes out. Okay, I'm just gonna, I do have a script to go through here to sort of give us a bit of an idea and to get us to an endpoint. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so first with this, I can get it to show me the MCP tools I have attached. So as I said, I've already got openEQUELLA here. And as I said, I've got 3 tools. I've got the idea to be able to retrieve items, search for items, and also list them. So this textual description is provided back to the AI engine so that it's got human language to try and work with and try and figure out what it needs to do. Now, this is going to look somewhat technical, and I do sort of apologize for that, but this is all sort of very new and very much on the edge of things, but it should still be fairly clear, and I'll be talking through it as we go. So what I'll do first is I'll say, can you please show me the list of collections in openEQUELLA? Okay, so at this point, the Gemini CLI knows that these tools are here, and this information should have been provided, well, will start to be provided at this point to the large language model. So it's still sort of spinning up at this point and getting that context into there. So a lot of all this text is about building up that context for the language model to use. Now, I have seen in the past this initial bit can be a bit slow. So we'll see what happens. All this kind of text that's popping up, that's from Google Gemini. I take no responsibility for what comes up there. They're trying to be humorous. But yes, we'll see. Okay, so the first time you start using tools from an MCP server, you need to give consent to basically say, yes, go to town with these tools. I don't mind what you do, or you might only say do it once. I'm going to talk to these tools a few times, so I'm going to give it permission to just do whatever it wants. Okay, so at this point, it's gone away. We can see the low-level technical details that has happened through it using the tool, but ultimately, we're more interested in this kind of presentation. So we can see there's a couple of interesting collections there. And actually, one bit I didn't show you, I'll just, sorry, jump back over here for a moment. The institution I'm talking to is the Control Headquarters institution. So this is Controls being the good guys, if you like, from Get Smart. So we have a few different things in here. This is using the nice new dashboard. But if we go over to search, we'll see we have those 3 collections in here. And we have all different things, so we can find out about different characters in here. And then we've alternatively got some intelligence reports to find out about some projects and all that kind of thing. So that's actually going to be the system we're working with. So we see there's a few interesting collections there, and one is the intelligence reports. So I'm going to say, can you please retrieve the items in the reports collection and give me a summary of the different classifications of reports. Okay. So one of the metadata items on the intelligence reports is classification. And so what we've seen there is it's gone away, done a search, found all the items, and then it's going through retrieving each item in turn. And by getting each of those items, you can see it's also getting down the metadata. And as I was alluding to there, I've got a few different kinds of metadata items. And one being classifications, and we've got top secret, confidential, and for your eyes only. Now, obviously, that for your eyes only sounds a little bit interesting. So let's see what report we've got there. So, find me more details about the for your eyes only report. So at this point, it can go away. It's already got the details of the report, the UID, and everything else from that above metadata. And it should be able to pull me down the details of that item, again with the get items details. And we can find some more details out. So at this point, we're going through, we're doing sort of some content discovery, and we're being able to do it interactively. Except sometimes AI can go a bit slow, as we've seen here. Other times, there we go. So it's gone away, it's got the report. There we go. So we've got some information about the report. So it's saying there was a bit of a failure here with the cone of silence. That's not surprising. Apparently it may not work too well, so they sent it off for repairs. I see there's a couple of agents involved here. I see there was the chief and Agent 86. So Agent 86 sounds interesting. So can you have a look in the personnel files and tell me more about Agent 86. All right, so we'll go away and see what they can tell us about them. And some details. Okay, so Agent 86, we find out is Maxwell Smart. He's a very sort of confident agent. He's a bit interesting. Okay, so is he mentioned in any other reports? So we'll see if he's been up to anything else. Okay, he's been involved in a few reports. Okay, so that's interesting. He seems definitely to be a bit of a character. And was he involved? We'll see if he often works with anyone else and get a bit of info about that. There might have been a couple there. So it's going through, it's pulling out more items to find out what other information can find about him. So there you go. So he's involved in a couple other operations, and there was Agent 99 and 45. So that's not too surprising. So and in our system, we also know we have a register of the various gadgets and equipment that are out there. So we'll just see which ones of those he's been using. And I think at that point, we've probably got a pretty good image around this character. Okay. All right, so he's been involved in a few. And all right. So might just do one more thing just to, because I think it pulled that mostly from the report, so that was kind of useful. We'll just say promotion of these available in the budgets and equipment collection. So being a little bit more pointed to make it choose the correct collection. Sorry. All right, excellent. So it's got a little bit more info about the visibility appeal. Apparently it was lost. I understand the whole container was lost because they also made that out of invisibility material as well. Probably not their best idea. So we've got a bit of a good idea here around sort of Agent 86. So what I think we might do is let's see if we can now, we've pulled this information out about openEQUELLA. We've looked at actually several, probably 10 or more items actually in openEQUELLA at this point. So we've put out a fair bit of information. So I reckon let's build that out to something now. So this is where we're looking at, we've pulled information from openEQUELLA, we've explored openEQUELLA, we've looked at our items, we're utilizing our sort of corporate knowledge, and so we can make some use of that. So please produce a report telling these Agent 86 was involved in being other agents and use of any. All right. Please write this as a HTML document. Okay, so now we're moving from just pulling stuff from openEQUELLA to now we're actually going to move the openEQUELLA content into a new format. Okay, so it's going to go away. It's going to generate me a HTML document, which it's done. Okay, I just need to, I forgot to open another one of these. So we should say we now have a report. Okay, let's have a look at our report that we just generated based on that content. All right. All right, Agent 86 activity report. Fantastic. So it's pulled all this out of openEQUELLA. It's given us some details. And so now we've got a nice summary there based on all the information it pulled purely from openEQUELLA. But it's a bit standalone. I would prefer if this integrated back into openEQUELLA. So let's fix that up. Please use the report by in any of the items links back into openEQUELLA. Because the metadata we get out, we actually have links that point back into openEQUELLA. So there's no reason we can't make this a little bit useful. So it can be a standalone asset, but something that we can also then still integrate back into openEQUELLA. So let that pull that out. And then planning ahead a little bit while I wait for that to finish what it's doing. I'm thinking it would also be good if we made this a little bit more official. So my institution is /control. So let's get the institution's logo, and we'll use that as well when we come back to this. So still trying to figure out what it's doing there, but at least we've got a logo ready. Let's see how we go. If it takes too long, I'll prompt it again. We'll see what happens. Here we go, linking report items, generating links. So it's reading the existing report that it had already generated. And so now it can go in and improve them. So yes, we'll say go ahead, make your changes. And I'm going to say, I'm going to be bold and say yes, allow always. Just a little bit bold because that means it's going through and just writing to my file system, but should be okay. So we can see it's finding a few different things that should edit there. And it's updated it. So let's go have a look at that. Let's see what it's done to our report. Okay, so Maxwell Smart's now linked, so I can click on that. Let's open a new tab. There we go. It's gone straight into Maxwell Smart. Yep. Okay, it's definitely him. All right. So that link's looking good. And it's also linked out to some of our projects. We know this was over here. So here's their report on the project see-through. That should have worked properly. Yeah, we've got our report. We're linking all the way through now. So now our single document that we got it to generate is looking pretty good. So we might just do one last touch to that, and then I think we'll have a pretty good report. So I think I've still got that on my clipboard. Can we make the report a bit more professional? Please, this logo. Oops. At the top, and also include an executive summary at the top, detailing the effectiveness of this agent. All right. So let's sort of go and polish that up a bit, and we'll have a final report that we can then go and send off to whoever we wish to send it to. Maybe the chief might be interested. We're not sure, but we'll see what happens. So what we've seen here is we've been able to basically transform content in openEQUELLA and pull it out. This is still a proof of concept, so it's only doing that searching, retrieval of metadata and that kind of thing. It'd be easy to build this further to also pull down the actual attachments and extract them out. So in this case, we've got a little fun fictitious control headquarters and that kind of thing. But you could imagine more so maybe in an educational context that you might have course content split across various items. So you might want to explore some subjects, and then you might want to pull down the different bits of assets that are relevant to the topic you want to build something out of. So for example, you might want to do something as simple as a HTML file. There was the exploration around H5P and SCORM and those kind of things. You could see the ability to possibly build that out and produce those kind of assets and then put them back in. But you could arguably also put them back in within here, because we can also add tools that would be around the creating of items and publishing items, so they could get put in there as well. And although here I've been using a chat interface of this text-based, I'm querying openEQUELLA, it's coming back out, you can write agents and MCP agents that are ultimately called in a completely automated fashion from elsewhere. So you could imagine having a scripting step possibly within a openEQUELLA workflow that could possibly call out to an AI agent that is connected to MCP to do some of the sort of validation steps within a workflow. And it can go through and save you time, get some of those efficiencies by doing that. And while I've been talking, we can see in the background the agent's sort of working away to try and improve this HTML. It found it made a couple of defects there at first, so it's gone back and fixed them up and produced our final report. So let's see what it did. Did it break everything, or did we get something useful? No, we've got a very official looking control report. We've got a nice summary here telling us about Agent 86, and then we've got details about the agent, what they've been involved in, any equipment they used, and we've also got links back into openEQUELLA. All right, so that is sort of just showing what we can do with MCP and openEQUELLA. And at this point, it's purely a proof of concept, but hopefully it sort of gets people sort of thinking a little bit and looking at what might be possible. And so that sort of brings me to the end of looking at, AI, openEQUELLA, and things we might be able to do into the future.
Very good. Thanks so much, Ian. Yeah, lots of positive emojis throughout that presentation. Very cool, very exciting. You know, obviously embrace the theme of today as well. So what I might do, instead of jumping into Q&A, I might get Kath and Ian to then talk about what's happening in 2026. You know, how do we get to this point? How do we get to the point in which we can introduce AI into the platform? One of the things that Kath and Ian will talk about is the admin console comms change, and particularly the introduction of GraphQL, as Ian mentioned. So Kathy, if you can go through that, and then again, that will help answer, I imagine, some of the questions around, how do we get from a proof of concept like Anne's shown into, core development. And again, apologies, we are running a bit over, but, for those that have dropped or need to drop, we are recording this. Over to you, Kath.
Thank you, Ian. Could you please stop sharing so I can?
I would love to stop sharing, but I think I've missed it by that much. It's I've got the button there, but my system's not allowing me. Is there any way to force me to stop sharing?
That's a very good question.
I can send you the link to the
Yep.
presentation. Oh,
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Excellent. Okay, so beyond 2025.2. So let's have a look at what's in store. However, let's first do a little mission debrief over the last 2 releases, just to refresh your memories if you haven't upgraded yet as to what was included in those. So 2024.2, we had the ability to version key resources. So you could choose like a specific version or the latest version. And we also, our big piece of work was the OIDC integration, supporting OAuth 0, Azure, or actually that should say Enter ID, and Okta, and then Kaltura version 7 player support and accessibility improvements. And then for 25.1, we made some enhancements to make it easy to access embed codes and URLs to share in integrated LMSs. We made some more improvements to the OIDC integration. And then we did a few little bits and pieces for user experience improvement, basically, showing a spinner so that people don't continue doing work when things are happening, and lots of dependency upgrades. So moving on, so our future intelligence briefing, the roadmap. So for 2026.1, we're looking at this admin console communications refactor, and I will hand over to Ian to talk about that. That is the GraphQL stuff he talked about earlier. And it is kind of a technical area. So over to you, Ian, to talk about the beauty of that you see in that.
The beauty. It is technically beautiful, yes. So this is one of those sort of really big jobs that goes on behind the scenes, and this has been going across a couple of releases in the background, and it's continuing on. But what we are basically doing is completely changing the way the admin console talks to openEQUELLA. So the method it uses at the moment was a technology that came out many years ago and was great at the time, but security has since moved on, and best practices say that's not the way to do it. So we're introducing that new API I mentioned. GraphQL is a more modern sort of API building on from lessons learned in REST APIs, and allows us to sort of do more queries more efficiently and gives us a lot of capability. So bit by bit, we're replacing all the admin console calls that were done with GraphQL. And once they are all done, the admin console will continue to work as it did before. It should be 99% transparent. However, what it allows us to also do is not only improve our security posture, but also gives us capabilities for the future. And that's where we mentioned the idea of foundational for web UI admin. Sorry. Because with that API surface there that matches everything the admin console can do, then obviously we have a easily utilized API for web browsers. So then we can start doing some of the new UI, but for the admin console in the web, sitting alongside the UI. And that's something obviously everyone's been asking for a very long time. So we're still sort of working towards that. So yeah, that's probably what that piece is.
Excellent. And Ian, did you want to talk about the Moodle module as well and the admin console package?
Okay, yes. So looking at the Moodle module, we do continue to do updates for that. We need to do some updates for us, especially for the movement to some of the new versions of Moodle. They're definitely deprecated and started removing things. And obviously our Moodle module has been around for a long time. So again, it utilizes some old things which are no longer there. We also have plans long-term to improve the settings UI in there, and also to try and move more of it to a strict LTI 1.3 implementation. At the moment, it has a combination of LTI 1.1 and the old shared secrets, but we would like to further improve that to follow some of the security best practices and use some of those updates in Moodle, but also provide a better configuration and usage situation. So we're looking towards that in the future. The admin console package, that's obviously that standalone package that you download to launch the admin console. That package includes an embedded Java runtime environment. So we need to make sure we sort of keep that up to date. We also have some features we would like to look at adding to that, such as the storage of passwords, which is important when you have multiple institutions. But obviously we need to do that in a very nice and secure way. So it's not something we can quickly do, but we plan to be doing an update for that in the coming months. And yes.
Thank you. And then Al, you wanted to talk about this one.
Yeah, terrific. So yeah, obviously Kath and Ian has just outlined what will come next in 26.1. One of the things that will be occurring in parallel to that is looking at 26.2 and how we can make AI a bit of a reality in Aquella. As we've just witnessed, Ian has showed us a proof of concept around MCP, and we're looking at what that version will look like. One of the questions we've asked clients over recent months, both from a roadshow but also the regular meetings that I have. Oops, and
Sorry.
Kath, yeah,
Wrong way.
jumping around. There we go. Was around the continuation of all of the work that we've done around the UI, and I think things like the dashboard portlets and the favorites look amazing, both from a front and a back end perspective. But yeah, our question to clients was, do we continue with UI or do we, now look and embrace AI as that's become more mainstream? And the feedback was overwhelming in as far as focusing on AI. We saw that with the poll question response as well, whereas probably this time last year, there was certainly clients that were still hesitant to embrace AI. That's no longer the case. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, which we absolutely will, is to look at how we can transition Aquella from being that passive content repository to being an active content hub utilizing AI. So yeah, what we're looking to do over the next 6 months, we are doing a number of scoping exercises with some clients to look at proof of concepts around how we can embrace things like Copilot connectors, and whether that's the pathway we pick for 26.2 onwards in terms of more formalizing that within the code of Aquella, or whether we do look to develop MCPs or take a different pathway. That's what we'll be spending, as I said, in parallel to the 26.1 roadmap development work, time to consider. So as you have feedback to us, if you are looking to do some proof of concept work yourself, please reach out to us. And we'll keep you informed in terms of which way we take the platform. But yeah, the second half of the year, next year, we'll absolutely have a focus around AI. Excellent. Now you can click the next screen, Kath.
I had my hand sitting on my mouth, so
excellent. So that actually ends the formalities of Edalexpo. We've run 15 minutes over and we have lost a number of attendees, but that's totally fine. So yeah, we're going to stick around for probably the next 5 minutes. So if there is any other feedback, any questions about the roadmap, any questions about the amazing MCP proof of concept that Ian demonstrated, then yeah, feel free to turn your video on, come off mute and ask us questions. We will stop recording at this point, just so that we can speak freely. But thank you everyone for your time. As I said, we'll stick around for 5 minutes and yeah, look forward to speaking to you further.